Hello, everybody. We are back, part two. Thank you for clicking on Earthquakes, the Eclipse, Edgar Cayce, part two. Plus, we're going to go through the X Files. I had a recorded video up. I have a recorded video up. It has some glitches in it. It cut off halfway through, and also it was muted during the Edgar Cayce part. So we are going to fix that. Um, I also opened that recorded video with a different shot from the eclipse in 2017. This is another photograph I took during that time period. Um, you notice the green hue around the moon as it is coming between the sun and the earth. And the green hue is because I used a green filter for the camera, and it was a welder's mask green lens that was a replacement lens for a welder's mask, and I taped it to my camera so the camera wouldn't get damaged. Um, you need to do the same thing for your cameras, for your phones, the lenses on your phones, to prevent them from being damaged as you view the upcoming upcoming eclipse here in 2024, if you're going to be doing so. And of course, make sure you protect your eyes, and make sure you don't get um, caught up in some kind of scam. Make sure you've got the proper eyewear, because your eyes can be damaged by looking directly at the eclipse. And the eclipse is going to be visible, weather permitting, all across the country. There is a slight area of the country that will be under the totality, where the moon is directly between the sun and the earth, not just partially, as we see here on the screen. Um, but in that area of totality, again, it's a very small area. But anywhere in the United States, you will be able to see partially a view of this total eclipse coming up on April the 8th, just 6 days away from right now. Again, thank you all for clicking on. I do greatly appreciate it. Um, one of the other things I started out with in the last video um, was about earthquakes, and earthquakes in the Bible, and the Bible references the earthquakes. Earthquakes are key signs in the Bible a number of times, from when Christ is crucified. There's an earthquake, and when Christ is resurrected a few days later, another earthquake, um, and and that is important because um, of a couple of things. But the main thing that people are focusing on is that the book of Revelation, primarily the 16th chapter of Revelation, verse 18, and there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not seen since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great that every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. So the places that are mountainous are going to be flattened, and some mountains are going to be flattened, and some places that are flat are going to suddenly rise. Um, that is significant. The earthquake and the eclipse. Um, the eclipse upcoming is going to make an X upon the earth. And if you add in the uh, partial eclipse in October of 2023, just last fall, that touched just a portion of the United States. That's 3 eclipses in a 7 year period. 7, of course, significant biblically. And it makes a design. If you look at where the 3 paths of the eclipses designed, similar to both the X with just the 2 of them, and then add the third, and it makes a sign similar to the Greek letter ta, which is basically the symbols are the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. And when asked what would be the sign, Jesus said that there will be no signs except the sign of Jonah. And the sign of Jonah, the prophet that was supposed to go to Nineveh, that refused to go to Nineveh and was swallowed by the great fish and inside the fish for 3 days, and then repented and went to Nineveh, and there was an eclipse. So if you add that with the prophecy that when right before Jesus returns, we read from Revelation, and there will be an earthquake like such a great earthquake as no one has ever seen since men have inhabited the earth. So the two tie together potentially, if you look at it totally from a biblical perspective. Now, let me flip over here real fast. Again, thank you all for hello, not going away. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching. One of the things that got muted in the last video was about Edgar Cayce, and the recorded video, the part 1, was supposed to answer some questions from the live from Monday night. So this bit of time about Edgar Cayce will probably answer some of the questions some people had as to who he was and the map, if it will play.
The world map is going to look very different. Africa will be divided into 3 parts. The Nile will widen, and a brand new waterway will split the continent. As the Red Sea grows, Cairo will eventually disappear into the sea. Asia is already very seismic and will suffer the most dramatic changes. Land will be covered from the Philippines to Japan by the ocean. As the Pacific plate shifts, the islands of Japan will sink, leaving only a few small islands. Taiwan and most of Korea will be completely lost to the sea. The entire coast of China will be pushed inland hundreds of miles. The population of India will be told not to seek higher ground within the interior of the country due to buckling of the land. Instead, they'll have to head to the Himalayas. The high mountains of Tibet and Nepal will provide refuge. Antarctica will no longer be covered in ice, but will once again become fertile and green. Australia will lose nearly 25% of its land due to coastal flooding. The Adelaide area will become a new sea. The Simpson and Gibson deserts will become fertile farming land. New Zealand will actually grow in size and will once again connect to mainland Australia. And New Zealand will ultimately become one of the safest areas in the New World.
Lucky Kiwis.
Europe will suffer. Most of Northern Europe will simply be gone, sunk into the sea as the tectonic plate underneath it collapses. Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark disappear, eventually becoming hundreds of small islands. Most of the UK, from Scotland to the English Channel, will disappear into the ocean, but several small islands will remain. London and Birmingham will actually survive, but not as cities, as islands. Ireland will disappear completely except for land at high elevation. Russia will be separated from Europe by an entirely new sea when the Caspian, Black, Kara, and Baltic seas combine. The new sea will stretch all the way to Siberia. Russia's climate will remain intact, leaving Russia to supply most of Europe's food.
Putin is going to be king of the world.
You mean he isn't already?
You make a good point.
In Canada, most of the coastline will be pushed in by 200 miles. Regions in Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and areas of Alberta will become the refugee survival center of Canada. As the North American plate buckles, the new islands of California will be created with almost 150 separate islands. The West Coast will recede east toward Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado. The Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence will join and continue from the Mississippi River all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. All coastal areas from Maine to Florida will be taken over by water and pushed inland for miles. Most of the coastal areas of Mexico will be flooded. The California Baja coast will ultimately become a series of islands. Billions of people will be displaced by this cataclysm. Billions more will be killed.
Well, that was cheerful.
Sorry about that.
When is this pole shift supposed to happen?
Well, Cayce said 1998.
Oh, we're fine.
Yeah, but NASA has detected a slight pole shift that could be a concern.
When did they detect the shift?
1998.
Yeah, damn it.
Now, to be fair, Edgar Cayce has his detractors. He gave over 14,000 readings, so he's going to be right at least some of the time. It's the correct predictions that make headlines.
Okay. If you follow the program, you know we talk a lot about the pole shift, and the poles are indeed shifting. Magnetic fields weakening. That is what is bringing about what they are calling global warming. I'm trying to blame it on other things, in my opinion. But anyway, the map is what the water rise that that Cayce is predicting will be the result of a massive warming and a polar shifting. And he also predicted earthquakes. Now, when I recorded the episode that we did before, that was before I found out that we had a substantial earthquake happening while I was recording. So we've got some coverage of that coming up right now. We're going to swap over to the XFiles, and let me get to let me pull up the bookmarks, and we will run down through there. I had them pulled up, but it flipped me back. Indiana has banned China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, and Venezuela from owning or leasing farmland in the United States. That's a local headline I had to get in here when I saw it. As I mentioned, a pretty significant earthquake in the world. While I was recording that last episode, an earthquake, a magnitude 7.5, has occurred near Taiwan, with a tsunami threat declared for the Japanese southern islands of Okinawa and Miyako. Additionally, less than 15 minutes later, powerful earthquake with a magnitude 6.6 struck near Taiwan, and then a third aftershock also occurred. Got 4 separate shots here. You can see the building tilted and all but falling over. This is from inside an apartment. This is a landslide occurring.
从的地震，汤方，从的地震，汤方。哦，你哪家里？我的车在这边。
And damage from the quake all throughout the area. A lot of buildings unstable. I've seen some helicopter footage. I don't have it, but I've seen some helicopter footage that a lot of destruction in Taiwan tonight. And I had mentioned actually in the X-File report I did that got cut off, that was it was supposed to be in the recorded video, that the United States Army is allegedly recalling retired service members back to active duty. And this appears to be what is happening, at least according to this form. Now, this ties in with the earthquakes in Taiwan. Reports that over 30 Chinese warplanes and 9 Navy vessels have been detected around Taiwan. This came in just an hour ago. All honesty, friends, the first thing I thought of when I heard the earthquake in Taiwan, I thought, is this a natural or is this an attack from a direct energy weapon? Um, and this just makes me even more suspicious. 30 Chinese warplanes, 9 naval vessels detected around Taiwan. This came in again just an hour ago. U.S. military started recalling veterans allegedly, and this has a context added to it. It says the military has not started recalling retirees and ordering them to active duty. However, it has opened for opportunities for retirees to come back to active duty. I'd like to know who wrote that actually, and how much actual knowledge they have. Anyway, a state of emergency has been declared here in Indiana. We've had tornadoes throughout the day and a lot of damage, but it's been declared because of the solar eclipse coming up. Indiana now has officially joined the list of areas that have declared a state of emergency ahead of a solar eclipse. We had a solar eclipse 7 years ago in 2017, and we had absolutely no states of emergency. And to my knowledge, no reason would necessarily state that there would be need for one now, unless they knew something we do not know, and that prompted them to do what they're doing. Kyle Rittenhouse has been in the news a lot. He's been talking about military service, and somebody called him out on it and requested information from the government. Basically, he tried to take a United States Marine Corps entrance exam 2020 in January, did not meet service eligible requirements. His test score was far below the required minimum, permanently disqualified from entering the USMC. Please let me know if there are any additional questions. Trump supporter has been arrested after targeting Attorney General Letitia James and Justice Arthur Engoron with threats of extreme violence. 26-year-old Tyler Vogel been charged with 2 counts of making terroristic threats. Quote, "Mark my words, I will unalive you," end quote, is what he stated about the judge and the Attorney General of New York. Of course, Trump under trial, and those two predominant in that trial. Another interesting thing about Trump tonight, that he's speaking in Michigan tonight, and before he had a roundtable, and Fox News broke into their programming to cover this.
Live to Grand Rapids, Michigan, former President Donald Trump in a roundtable there. We're going to dip in and listen here. This is ahead of his speech a short time from now.
Back on this harmful agenda.
It's insane. So in Iowa, it was 40 degrees below zero. Some of these people know that. Some of the media know it. 40 degrees below, and there were electric cars all over the streets because they couldn't handle the cold. I've heard that. 40 degrees below zero, right? That's a death. And we have our chairman here. We have everybody.
So the media got up and walked out, including Fox, from Trump's roundtable. He was supposed to be talking about the border, and he started talking about it being 40 degrees below zero in Iowa, and how electric cars were not able to run, and they were just stuck all over and creating havoc, and it was odd. A state of emergency has also been declared in Niagara Falls over the total eclipse. State of emergency been declared near Niagara Falls to prepare for the month's total solar eclipse amid expectations that hundreds of thousands of tourists will visit the area. It's Niagara Falls. It's one of the greatest wonders of the world. It's one of the places that I've been, one of the things that I've done that lived up to everything I heard, all the hype. Um, it's awe-inspiring. It's breathtaking. It makes you feel really small to see that power, and they have hundreds of thousands of visitors all the time. Um, so that's odd. While this is up, I want to dispel a myth that has gained a lot of traction, and that is the myth that this is not a real eclipse because it's going from west to east, not going from west to east, not going from east to west. Um, it's all based upon movement of the sun and movement of the moon. The sun will be going from east to west, okay? The shadow is what is going to be on the earth. The shadow. And if you know about light and shadow, the moon moving, the sun moving as it will towards the west will cause the shadow to go the opposite direction or towards the east. You can if you ever did shadow puppets on the wall, if how you move your hand impacts the shadow, and the light source, where the light source is on your hands. Um, it's the same thing. It's where the light source is going to be on the moon. And I hope that explains it. But this is the path of totality, and it runs over 7 different areas. I wouldn't call them cities, but Nineveh is the name that is prominent throughout this line. The other line ran from the state of Washington down pretty much like this and out into the ocean. And there's a lot of speculation about the area where these two cross. That is also basically the frontal edge of the majority of the New Madrid Fault, which follows the Mississippi River down, as we've talked about in previous videos. So, as always, just giving you something to think about. This is a video supposedly of a volcano that has gone off in the Pacific Ocean. This is alleged. I don't know if it's real. It's spectacular. It's rather fascinating. And the person that posted this poses the question, what do you notice? You notice the incredible black smoke. You notice all the fire. But do you notice the water seems to be going in toward and toward the area where the magma is starting to form? It's been going, which to me indicates some sort of hole or drain or something must be there, pulling the water in and down. But nonetheless, I found that rather interesting. And okay, it says it's fake. It says, but again, who are the people that are putting these comments up? Or reader added context. Who are the readers that are adding these contexts? Oh, wait a minute! It actually said on this one. or have I missed that before? Context is written by people who use X. Okay. So that makes them experts. Telegram accounts listed, Telegram accounts linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps um, are claiming that significant activities ongoing at long-range missile sites across Iran, and that, quote, the 0 hour for an attack on Israel is near, end quote. This uh, Chris and I talked about this, and why would they do this? Why would they put this out? Which has made me wary of this. Not that Iran is not going to reciprocate for what Israel did, and we covered that in the Monday night video. Israel leveled the Iranian embassy in Lebanon and killed numerous people, including Iranian officials, and Iran is not going to let that go. However, I don't think they're going to launch an attack, a massive attack with a lot of long range missiles, as this seems to indicate. The reason I say that is because Iran is putting together a nuclear program, and they do not want to give Israel justification to take that nuclear program out. That's just my personal opinion and analysis on that. World Economic Forum talking about using mind control through sound waves, quote unquote, and that is much like what we saw on Sunday night on 60 Minutes, using sound waves for damaging the mind. And I'm sure they've got it probably where you can dial it down and just put thought patterns in people's head. That's, I guess I should grab my tin foil, but I don't have any near me. NASA director warns of, quote unquote, unusual behaviors during the eclipse, and that solar eclipses have, quote, special powers. Now, we're not making this up. NASA gives the warning on upcoming solar eclipse, quote, unusual things start to happen. And I'm not going to play it, but it just makes me leery that there is something planned for this day that is possibly nefarious. So keep your eyes open, as always. Dr. Mike Eden, former vice president at Pfizer, says, quote, when the UN and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab tell you that you won't be traveling, you won't have a private car, there won't be any flights, you won't own anything, and you'll be happy, you probably won't live in your own house. When they tell you what they're going to do, you should hear them. You should believe them, and we should start to at least talk to each other about standing up to all this. Just something to think about. Israel military bombed 3 cars yesterday also, as well as the building. 3 cars belonging to 4 nationals of the world kitchen, British, Australian, Polish, members of this organization that was there to do nothing other than provide food. The Israelis knew they were coming. They were in what was supposed to be a deconfrontational zone, when all three of the vehicles were struck by air-to-surface missiles and destroyed, and all the occupants killed. This is not playing well. That act by Israel is not playing well in the international community. Not that anything they've been doing has, or that has deterred them from doing anything they have done. I just want you to see a little bit of what's going on in China at the moment. This is a cruise missile factory, a totally automated cruise missile factory. And the key to this is when the factory is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it can produce the components for 1,000 missiles a day. So China's preparing for something. Truth Social said yesterday that its losses are so severe that company accountants warned they, quote, raise substantial doubt about its ability to continue as a going concern, end quote. It's called a pump and dump in the stock world, in the world of the stock markets. The Israeli airstrike hit cars carrying aid workers from the World Central Kitchen. I couldn't think of what the C was for the WCK. It's the World Central Kitchen. I believe it is Jose Garza? One of the famous chefs is the organizer and leader of this, and has just done incredible work throughout the world. And it's just it's a travesty that those people doing that work were killed. The Iranian mission to the United Nations reportedly delivered a notice of intent to the United Nations Security Council regarding today's airstrike by the Israeli Air Force against the Iranian embassy. And so they have done the same thing to the United States through Switzerland. They contacted the Swiss embassy with a message to the United States that action would be taken against Israel, and that the United States, as Israel's lone ally, as they put it, will also be held accountable. China warns its citizens visiting the United States to take safety precautions and to be prepared for, quote, various unexpected situations, end quote. It's odd that China would be doing this. It's odd that the leader of NASA would be saying eclipses cause unusual things. Just a lot of odd going on in our world. According to Martin Sandler, Mossad killed John F. Kennedy because they were furious that Kennedy made Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister, founder of Israel, resign. This is the first time I've heard that. That's why I'm bringing this up. I haven't heard this theory before, but the motive is definitely there. And Sandler's from the editor of the letters of John F. Kennedy. I've got one more story down here I wanted to talk about real quick. Ford Fisher. It's F-O-R-D, Ford Fisher, former guest of the show. And he has a video thread on right here on the X, on the site formerly known as Twitter. If you are on there, I don't know if he's done an expose on Facebook or YouTube, but basically, it's the story of Russell Richard Vane the Fourth. Now, this is Virginia Cayce, a pro-gun prepper militia based in Eastern Virginia, formerly affiliated with the Boogaloo movement, tells News to Share they've recently kicked out a member they believe may have been plotting an explosives-related entrapment attempt against the group, or worse, meaning against somebody else. When a pro-gun prepper militia kicks you out, the government ought to be paying attention. Vane made his contact with the Virginia group in 2022 April, according to the leader, Eddie Ray, who goes by Ice, and Cody Beckner, who goes by Sasquatch. Vane allegedly adopted the call sign Duke. He started to make inquiries as to wanting the group to develop homemade explosives. Sasquatch and I spoke exclusively to News to Share, and that's the good thing about Ford. Ford has developed a relationship with a lot of different groups, and they trust him to get information out there, as we have here, and I'm grateful for that. But it is a thread, so there's the initial post, then you need to go down in the comments, and you can find the entire thread. All the way down to where he's talking to, they've got screenshots of some of the conversations, and it's quite the extensive thread. That's why we're not going through the entire thing. This is Ice, and this is Sasquatch. I recommend it. I recommend you take 5 or 10 minutes, especially if you're unfamiliar with, or you just, if you're unfamiliar with what the militia groups are about, or you just joke, you just find it a big joke, take a few minutes and go through this thread. It will give you some knowledge and some insight because there are a large number of these groups out there. All right. Thank you for clicking on here and being with me for part 2. Hello, Telescope. Okay, Telescope's going to be streaming the eclipse. I'm going to be streaming the eclipse. Lori Arnold's going to be streaming the eclipse. She's going to be in Texas, so she's going to be a couple hours ahead. So we'll be able to watch her. I'm going to be about 2 hours after that, and again, we are right under where it's going to be happening. Telescope's going to be streaming. We'll have to check in on have to make sure and check in on each other. Thank you, not going away. Thank you, peace, love, and sunshine, and thank you all, especially all of you watching at your convenience that aren't watching live. If you'd like to help support the show, cash at me, $ American Doofus, AMERICANDUFUS. You want to contact me, email is Gmail, American Doofus, all one word once again, AMERICANDUFUS @gmail.com. I love y'all like chocolate chip cookies, and that's sincere. And somebody baked me some chocolate chip cookies not long ago. Thank you very much for that. Love me some chocolate chip cookies. Love me some of you out there watching. Greatly appreciate you all. Blessings be upon you. Wish you peace, and remind you that it is a dark world. Do try to be a light, and we'll see you next time.